You know that old saying, don't judge a book by its cover?
I do. It's a lovely sentiment. Very noble.
It is. It's also completely scientifically impossible.
Huh, right.
At least not if you're a human being with a smartphone in, 2025.
Unfortunately for the idealists, the data really does back you up on that one.
I was looking at the research stack we pulled for this deep dive, and the numbers are just, they're ruthless. We're talking about the science of the click today.
Thumbnails, podcast art.
Exactly. Those little rectangles that basically decide if your content lives or dies. And there was one stat right at the top that just stopped me cold.
Was it the processing speed?
The processing speed. The human brain processes visuals 60,000 times faster than text.
It's a staggering number when you really stop and think about the mechanics of it.
60,000 times. I mean, that means before I've even read the word "the" in a title, my brain has already decided if I like the picture, if I trust the creator,
And if you're going to click.
and if I'm going to click.
Exactly. You've made a judgment before you've even had a conscious thought, and that split-second decision is what we're unpacking today.
This is not random.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
When you look at the top-performing videos on YouTube, something like 90% of them are using custom, highly engineered thumbnails. This isn't luck. It's a high-stakes design battle.
And it feels like the rules for that battle are changing so fast. We aren't just talking about making things look pretty anymore. Looking at the notes, we have like psychological warfare, AI robots analyzing microexpressions.
And then this weird design rebellion pushing back against all of it.
Yeah.
That is the core tension we need to explore. Right now, in 2025 and heading into 2026, we're seeing this massive clash between two forces.
Okay.
On one side, you have these hyper-optimized AI-driven systems designed to basically hack your dopamine receptors. And on the other, a very human, very messy rebellion moving toward handcrafted imperfections.
The battle for our eyeballs. So, okay, let's start with the high-tech side. The robot elephant in the room. AI. Because a few years ago, making a thumbnail meant I opened Photoshop.
Right.
I sweated over contrast settings. Maybe I bumped up the saturation. What is happening now that is so different?
The shift is, it's fundamental. We've moved from AI as a utility like, hey, remove this background for me, to AI as a strategic director.
Right.
The industry is calling it emotion-driven design.
Emotion-driven. That sounds intense. How does a piece of software even understand emotion?
It's calculated. It's all based on massive data sets. We're seeing tools now, platforms like Taja.ai and Filmora, that are using what's called microexpression analysis.
Okay, let's break that down. Is it scanning my face while I watch?
No, not the viewers. It's scanning the content itself.
Ah, I see.
So let's say you record a 20-minute video. In the past, you'd have to scrub through that footage manually to find a good screenshot where you look halfway decent.
A painful process, yes.
Now, these tools scan every single frame to find the exact millisecond where you show genuine surprise or joy or intense curiosity.
It's hunting for the YouTube face.
Precisely. But it's hunting for the statistically perfect YouTube face. It isolates that frame because the data says that specific microexpression, the widening of the eyes, the slight part of the lips, is statistically more likely to trigger a click.
So it's not just a screenshot, it's a biological trigger.
It's a data-backed emotional hook. The AI knows that a human face showing strong emotion creates an immediate mirror neuron response in the viewer. You see surprise, you feel curious, it happens instantly.
That is effective, but also a little unnerving.
Yeah.
And the AI influence doesn't stop at just finding the picture. I saw something in the notes about predictive customization.
Yes.
This sounded a lot more like what Netflix does.
That's exactly the model. We're moving into an era of hyper-personalization. Think about your Netflix homepage. The artwork you see for a movie might be totally different from the artwork I see.
Right, because if I watch a lot of comedies, they show me the funny scene to get me to click.
And if I watch thrillers, they might show me a dark, moody character shot. YouTube and other platforms are adopting this predictive model. The AI analyzes a viewer's watch history.
Okay.
So if a specific demographic responds better to bright neon colors, the algorithm serves them a thumbnail with that palette. If another group prefers minimalism, they see a cleaner version.
So two people could be scrolling their feeds, see the exact same video, but look at two completely different images.
Yes, it's tailoring the bait to the specific fish to maximize the CTR to click-through rate.
That creates a fascinating scenario where we don't even have a shared visual reality for the content we consume anymore.
It creates an efficiency loop, and that ties into context awareness, which is another big AI leap mentioned in the research.
This is the one where the thumbnail updates itself based on what's happening in the real world.
In a way, Context-aware generation means the AI understands the world outside the video. So, without the creator lifting a finger, the AI can automatically insert seasonal elements.
It's December.
It's December. The AI adds a subtle frost effect or maybe a Santa hat to the host in the picture.
Or if there's a massive sporting event.
Exactly. If the World Cup is happening, it might tweak the background elements to be relevant to that trend. It keeps the content feeling live and urgent, even if it was uploaded 6 months ago.
That is incredibly smart. But I have to ask, does it feel a little sterile? If everything is optimized by an algorithm to hit the same emotional troubles, doesn't it all start to look the same? Like we're stuck in this glossy, hyper-saturated, uncanny valley.
That is the million-dollar question. And that fatigue you're describing, that is directly driving the counter-trend for 2025 and 2026.
The rebellion.
The rebellion. Humans are pattern recognition machines. When we see too much glossy AI-generated perfection, we start to tune it out. We just perceive it as noise or ads.
Right.
So the smartest creators are pivoting hard towards handcrafted and modern natural designs.
So what does handcrafted actually look like in a digital feed? Are we talking about scanning drawings?
Sometimes, yeah. But it's more a move away from those rigid, perfect grids. We're seeing organic shapes, earthy tones, botanical illustrations. But the big marker here is texture.
Textured grains was the term in the research.
Yes. Designers are deliberately adding noise, grit, film grain to their images because AI imagery is often too smooth, too plastic. Adding grain makes it feel tangible. It signals to the viewer, a human made this.
It's like the difference between a pristine MP3 and a vinyl record. We want the crackle because it feels real.
Exactly. If the AI is slick, the human is gritty. It signals authenticity.
There were some specific visual trends mentioned for 2025 that fit into this. One of them seemed really out of left field to me. The Gothic trend.
Oh, the Gothic badges and crests?
Yeah. Why are we suddenly into medieval heraldry?
It's fascinating psychology, isn't it? Think about the internet right now. It feels fleeting, sometimes fake, just full of AI slop.
Okay.
Brands and creators are using these old-world visuals, crests, black-letter fonts, heraldic shields, because they convey history.
It communicates permanence.
Permanence, reliability, and sophistication. It grounds the content. It says this isn't just a flash in the pan. This is established.
That makes sense. It's an authority play. And then on the total opposite end of the timeline, we have pixels.
The retro tech vibe. This signals digital native. It's nostalgic for the early internet age, Web 1.0. It appeals to a specific demographic that grew up online.
And we can't talk trends without mentioning the color of the year, future dust.
Great name.
It sounds like a sci-fi movie. But it's this specific dark blue with purple and gray hints.
It aligns perfectly with the metallics trend we're seeing. All that silver and chrome. Future dust is moody. It feels futuristic, but also a bit mysterious. It's not the bright, look at me red of 2015 YouTube. It's cooler.
So we have this whole spectrum. On one end, AI perfection. On the other, gritty, gothic, futuristic dust. But regardless of the style, whether you're using a robot or a paintbrush, there's some rules that just don't break, right? The psychology of composition.
Right. You can have the coolest aesthetic in the world, but if the composition is wrong, the brain just slides right off it.
Let's loop back to faces. We know AI hunts for them, but why are they so non-negotiable? Why can't I just have a cool title?
Evolution. Plain and simple. For hundreds of thousands of years, the most important information for a human survival was found on the face of another human.
Is that person friend or foe?
Exactly. Is that person angry? Are they scared? Are they looking at a threat I can't see?
So when I scroll past a thumbnail of a guy looking terrified, my brain thinks, tiger, before I realize it's just a Minecraft video.
Precisely. Thumbnails with faces, especially those showing strong emotion, significantly boost performance because they hijack that threat friend detection system. It creates an immediate connection.
But you can't just float ahead in space. You need a layout. The sources mentioned a few rules of thumb, pun intended, that creators use.
There are 3 big ones you'll see everywhere once you start looking. First is the rule of thirds.
Ah, the classic photography stuff.
Right. Divide the image into a 3x3 grid. You put your main subject, usually the eyes of the face, on one of the intersections, occupying about 2/3 of the screen. Text goes in the remaining third. It just feels balanced to the human eye.
Okay, what if I'm doing something more confrontational, like a debate or a versus video?
Then you ditch the rule of thirds and go for the split screen. High contrast line down the middle, one side versus the other.
Red versus blue.
Before versus after. It immediately signals conflict or transformation. Central focus. Subject right in the middle. dead center. Supporting elements on the edges, it's very direct, very confident. It says, this is the only thing that matters.
Now, color. You mentioned future dust is cool and mysterious.
Hmm.
Generally speaking, how does color manipulate us here?
Color is just shorthand for emotion. If you use warm colors, reds, yellows, oranges, you're signaling urgency, excitement, maybe even danger.
Which is why breaking news is always in red.
It's the color of a stop sign. Correct.
Mhm.
But if you want to seem like a calm, rational expert, maybe a financial advisor, you use cool colors. Blues and greens. They
Yeah.
signal professionalism and trust.
But the most important thing isn't just the color itself.
Right.
It's how they sit next to each other.
Contrast. You need high contrast. Bright hues against dark backgrounds. You have to remember, most people are not seeing this on a 27-inch monitor. They're seeing it on a cracked smartphone screen while walking to the bus.
Yeah.
If the colors blend together, the image just disappears.
That is a great segue into the technical side of things. Because we've been using thumbnail as a catch-all term, but there is a massive technical difference between a YouTube thumbnail and, say, podcast cover art.
A massive difference. And honestly, mixing them up is the most common rookie mistake we see.
So let's clarify the rules of the game here. YouTube first.
YouTube is a landscape game. The standard is 1280 by 720 pixels. That's a 16.9 aspect ratio.
Unless it's a short.
Correct. If it's a short, you flip it vertical 1920 by 1080. But the key insight for YouTube is scalability. Whatever you design has to look good on a 60-inch smart TV and a 5-inch smartphone.
If the text is too small to read on a phone, you lose the click.
You lose the click.
Okay, now pivot to podcasts. Apple, Spotify. Totally different geometry.
Totally different. We're in a square world now. Minimum 1400 by 1400 pixels up to 3000 by 3000.
And there's a file size trap here that trips people up, right?
Yes. This is technical, but it's crucial. You usually have to keep the file size below 500 KB.
Why does that matter? We have 5G.
We do, but podcast directories are optimized for speed and caching. If your artwork is a massive 5 MB file, it might not load on someone's phone if they have spotty reception in a subway.
Ah, I see.
And if the art doesn't load, the listener assumes the podcast is broken, or the directory itself, Apple or Spotify, might just reject the upload entirely.
So compress your images. What about design constraints for podcasts?
The safe zone. Do not put crucial details or text in the corners.
Why not?
Because the apps, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, often overlay their own interface elements there. Little progress bars, playing icons, episode counts. If your title is tucked in the bottom right corner, it's going to get covered up by a play button.
That is a pro tip. Keep it centered, keep it safe. Now, we've thrown a lot of theory at the listener. I want to give them the actual tools mentioned in the sources. If I want to make this stuff, and I'm not a professional designer, where do I start?
Okay, so if you aren't a Photoshop wizard, the sources heavily recommend Canva, Snappa, and Adobe Express. They have the templates pre-sized for YouTube and podcasts, so you don't have to memorize the pixel dimensions we just listed.
And for the AI generation, if I want to try this emotion-driven stuff.
We mentioned Taja.ai and Filmora for that analysis of your video files. For generating the images themselves, like creating that future dust background or a gothic crest, you're looking at things like Midjourney, Bing Image Creator, or Playground AI.
And there was one specific tool mentioned for checking your work.
Wavy. It's an accessibility tool. It checks contrast. Because remember, if your text is illegible to someone with visual impairments or just someone with their screen brightness turned down, you're losing an audience.
Okay, so we've unpacked the AI revolution, the aesthetic rebellion with the grains and the crests, the brain science of faces, and the technical specs.
Yeah.
But I want to zoom out for a second. What does this all mean for the future of our feeds?
If we connect all this to the bigger picture, the future of thumbnails is going to be defined by this arms race we talked about. It's a battle between hyper-optimized AI that knows exactly what triggers your lizard brain
Right.
and a human desire for something that feels real.
It feels like a cycle. The AI gets better at making us click, so we get better at ignoring the AI. So the AI has to get better at faking being human to trick us again.
That is exactly the trajectory. We're entering an era of synthetic authenticity, where the goal is to use tools to look as though no tools were used at all.
Which brings up a bit of a provocative thought to leave everyone with. The sources did touch on ethical considerations.
They did. And I think this is the question every creator and every viewer needs to be asking. As these AI tools get better at manipulating our emotions with hyper-compelling imagery, literally hacking our micro-expressions, where is the line?
Right. Where's the line between optimizing for engagement and just manufacturing clickbait.
It changes the nature of agency. The sources ask a very difficult question. Are you clicking that video because you genuinely, consciously want to see the content? Or are you clicking because an algorithm successfully hacked your dopamine receptors using a specific shade of red and a surprised face?
That is a thought that will keep me up at night. Am I the user, or am I the product being triggered?
It's a blurrier line every day.
So the next time you're scrolling through YouTube or your podcast feed, just take a second. Look at that little rectangle. Ask yourself, is it the color? Is it the face? Or is it the texture that got you?
Be a critical clicker.
Be a critical clicker. Thanks for diving in with us.
Always a pleasure.